In this video, we are going to look at how to import data into Promptly to leverage the built-in RAG pipeline and create custom GPTs or AI applications that use your data. In Promptly, a data source is a collection of content of the same type. For example, a list of web pages or a collection of PDF files or a collection of Google Drive files. So whenever you import data onto Promptly, um, the platform will use its built-in RAG pipeline to create chunks of the data and then create vector embeddings for the data so that you can use these data sources and augment the LLM models that you use to build these custom GPTs or AI applications. There are two ways to add data sources in Promptly or import data into Promptly. One is using the dedicated data page where you can create data source and then import data or even manage your existing data sources. Or when you create these applications using a text chat processor or data source search process, you'll be able to select the existing data sources, but the widget also allows you to add a new data source. So for this example, I'm going to show you how to import data from the data page. To go to the data page, just navigate to the sidebar and then click on the data page icon. So on the data page, you can see all the data sources that are already there. And you can add new data sources by clicking on the plus icon or delete the entire collection using the delete icon. If you want to see all the entries that are there in a given data source, just click on the data source row and you'll see all the entries listed here. To see uh, to see the content or a preview of data from each of these entries, just click on the eye icon and you'll be able to see the content that's coming from that specific entry. And you can refresh the contents. For example, a web page is updated and you want to resync the data, just click on this refresh icon and then it'll redo the RAG pipeline for that specific entry, or you can delete the entry altogether. Let's go ahead and add a new data source. So I'll just click on the add data source and promptly supports importing data from all these different types of sources. For example, PDF, or you can import data from URLs or just drag and drop any files like audio files, video files, and we transcribe based on the media type and chunk the data and create embeddings. So you can also connect with your external Weaviate if you have one available, and you'll be able to manage your RAG pipeline elsewhere essentially. So let's say you have already used something like some other project to import data and then create embeddings. You and you have your own Weaviate instance which holds all these embeddings. You can configure that here and still build applications on top of those embeddings. Similarly, we also support SingleStore, so you can connect to or like pull data from your SingleStore instance and build apps on top of them. For this example, I'm going to create a data source of type URL. So, and then we'll download or we'll like create this data source out of the URLs from google.com. So you can use for whenever we are importing URLs, we can just click on this button and this will crawl the source URL and then list all the URLs that are there on that specific page and allows you to pick and choose which URLs that you want to create embeddings for. You can also like specify sitemap.xml if you have one available, and the crawler will get all the pages from your sitemap, and then you can um, create a data source out of all those pages in one go. So here you can see that there's an option called connections. For example, if you have some web pages um, that are behind authentication, for example, your company's internal documentation, and you want to create a bot out of that, you'll not be able to use regular crawlers because you'll need to log into your company's portal in order to be able to access those pages. That's where the connections option will like come into play. You can go to settings and create a connection of type web login, and then log into your like internal documentation or whichever the page that you want to crawl, and save the connection by clicking on the done button. Once you have the connection saved there, just use the drop down here and then create a connection. And when you use the URLs here in along with the connection ID, you'll be able to even crawl pages that are behind authentication. So given that I've filled my URLs here, let me just click on submit here. So once I've clicked on submit, we can see that the data source is created here. And then when I expand that, I can see that the two entries are being processed right now. So in the backend, the platform is crawling those pages and then parsing the HTML content and then trying to like create embeddings out of that. So to see like refreshed page, just collapse and then expand the entry again. And here we can see this page is already crawled and then ready. We can quickly see a preview of the content. So this all like came out of that specific URL. Once we have the data source created, we can use that data source as a RAG pipeline, augmenting LLMs from using the content coming from the data source. So I can use existing templates that allows us to do that, or even like build a new app from the ground up. For example, if you have something like a website chatbot template, um, it will, so once you fill up these things, there's an option for selecting data source. So I can select Google as the data source that I've just created here. And then once I do this, this app chain is going to use the data that we have just uploaded, do vector search, and then provide that context to the LLM while generating answers. So this is how you will typically import data into Promptly.